What's up, my rogues? It's your bubbly and boisterous Erin Rogoff making another booktube video, where I go off on rants on books most of the time. I do admit to making rants, but that's because I can only control my ADHD for so long. Anyway, I have been excited to make another book haul video, so let's start off this video with a cool summer love story that really intrigues me. Summer's End by Harper Bliss. It is a Kindle edition book, and it's this adult fiction romance LGBTQIA+ book, and it's a standalone novel. And is this the first book that I have read by this author? No, I've actually read two other novels by Harper Bliss, and they were New Girl and Summer Heat. Now, they were lesbian romance novels, and I generally wouldn't read that, but I'm looking to expand my reading tastes. So I wanted to know what I was, missing in the literary field. And I just have to say, it was, not quite my cup of tea, but it was still really interesting. And anyway, with the book, Summer's End, it's about this woman named Marianne who loses her girlfriend, then decides to go live on a remote island in the tropics of Tai Island, and then this new character, Emily Kane, enters, and she, at first glance, is just another passerby in the little bed and breakfast that Marianne runs. But then Emily has a dark past of her own, so can Emily and Marianne get together and heal each other to make a new beginning for themselves? And then the other book that I have is The Mist by Stephen King. If you know me, you know I am obsessed with Stephen King's work. I mean, I have Revival, The Bazaar of Bad Dreams, Under the Dome, Mr. Mercedes, Dr. Sleep, Cujo, The Long Walk, The Running Man, Pet Sematary, Misery, On Writing, and so many other books by him. Oh my gosh. And this is like G2 of Stephen King fan, because my mom loves Stephen King too. She has read almost all his books and has a collection of her own in another room of our house. So anyway, with The Mist, I have the paperback edition, as you can see. And it is an adult fiction horror thriller novel, and it's a standalone, and it's a short story, so it's a really quick read. And clearly this is not the first book that I have read by this author, because I am raving about Stephen King's books a lot. Maybe not in all the videos I post recently, but I am a huge fan of Stephen King, no doubt about it. Anyway, with the general plot, after a summer storm, David Drayton and his son Billy and their neighbor Brent join people in town to head to the grocery store to pick up some supplies. And then they find themselves stuck in the grocery store by a mist that cloaks the town and means danger. And as they all try to remain calm, religious zealot Mrs. Carmody thinks that this is God's vengeance upon them. She insists that a sacrifice must be made. So how can an escape be made by David, Billy, Brent, Ollie Weeks, Amanda Dumfries, Irene Repler, and Dan Miller? So that's pretty interesting, and there is a book-to-movie adaptation that's on Netflix. I have yet to finish watching the series. I was watching it, and then I realized that I needed to read the book first, so I stopped that. I went to the book, and now I'm going to go back to the series after I finish The Mist, so we'll see what happens. I know it's different than the book, and the book is always better than the movie, so I can't wait to read that. And then we have Merciless by Danielle Rollins. It is a Kindle edition book that I have, and it's a young adult fiction, supernatural fiction, horror novel, and it's book one of the Merciless series. Is this the first book that I have read by Danielle Rollins? Yes. And it's about this girl named Brooklyn Stevens who's tied up and sitting in her own blood, and Sophia Flores is looking up to her new friends at school, Riley, Grace, and Alexis, but Sophia never knew that Brooklyn was possessed, so now the girls are performing their own exorcisms. And their ideas border on torture, so can Sophia stand up to Riley and the others without being the next victim? That is yet what we need to find out. Another book that I have is Touch of Gold by Annie Sullivan, and that is not the interpreter for Helen Keller. I didn't need to check. And by the way, I'm just saying hi in sign language, because I know the basics of ASL. So that is also one reason why I got the book, not just because of the book itself, but because I looked up to Annie Sullivan and Helen Keller when I was a really little kid. So anyway, the book is a young adult fiction, fantasy, fairy tale retelling, and it's book 1 of the Touch of Gold series. And is this the first book that I've read by this author? Yes, if you couldn't tell. As for the general plot, after King Midas' touch of gold almost killed his daughter, he gave up the gift, curse, forever, and years later, Princess Cora still has an after effect of the curse because her skin shines golden. And Cora secludes herself in her castle, trying to ignore the odd looks of the courtesans and the other court officials. But then there's this charming duke who doesn't care about her golden skin, but when a thief steals from the treasury, Cora's romance is disrupted, and now that she has to track the thief down, she goes off on her quest, and she finds out that not everything is as it seems. So, Midas learns his lesson as a price, but will Cora's journey cost her more? If you know me, you know that I loved that story of King Midas and the Golden Touch when I was a really little kid, and my mom would tell me her version of the story when I was really little and still asking to be read bedtime stories. So this book, it just reminds me of a really good time, so that was really cool. And then another book that I have is The Princess Spy by Melanie Dickerson, and that is a young adult fiction, fantasy, fairy tale retelling, and it is book 5 of the Hagenheim series. I have other books by Melanie Dickerson, but I have not gotten around to reading them just yet, even though I am dying to. There's only so much I can read with the little lifetime I have been given. I've only read 1,000 books in the past 10 years, so that I'm really not on my game. Anyway, with The Princess Spy, this princess named Margaretha has always been this hopeless romantic and believes that her newest suitor is her true love, and when an injured man is brought to the castle who claims to be an English lord left to die by her fiancé's men, Margaretha, whatever her name is, she convinces herself that the man isn't right in the head, but then when she winds up running for her life, she needs to save her father, her family, her people, everyone from one man's evil plot, and so we need to figure out who is that. We shall end this video with a final book in this book haul, and that is Time Bomb by Joelle Charbonneau. It is a Kindle edition book, and it is a young adult fiction mystery thriller novel, and I have a weak spot for those, I will admit. All you need to do is say, here's a book, and I will be like, thank you, that's for me. Anyway, it is a standalone novel, and I have another book by Joelle Charbonneau, and that is Dividing Eden, which I have yet to read. But anyway, with Time Bomb by Joelle Charbonneau, a congressman's daughter must be perfect, a quarterback has a secret, a guy is tired of being ignored, a clarinet player is totally over trying to fit in, a rebel wants to teach a lesson, a guy doesn't want people to judge him because of his religion, and all of these kids are trapped in a school with a bomb, and they need to look for answers along with the bomber too. Anyway, that is all for today, so if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to show some support, subscribe to my BookTube channel to get more videos like this, turn those notifications on to be notified when I have another video up, and have a great day, everyone!